legal name and exact spelling.
And any aliases that you might have.
We need the number of your Visa card.
And any aliases names that you go by.
Do you have a Visa card or MasterCard?
I have a Visa.
Don't tell anybody that.
And what's the number, Mamaw?
What?
Don't tell that black man that keeps showing up at your house.
That's personal
Hey,
information.
just straighten her up. I can't see her.
They call me.
No, straighten her chair.
Oh, you
Say
don't have
hey,
a picture?
Ah!
Mamaw, don't touch your breast. That doesn't look ladylike.
This is supposed to show.
Did you hear Mama go? Y'all are gonna take my picture?
Okay, that looks good.
You're on the movie camera.
Hang on, let me straighten her back.
Don't you forget
Let me
you.
see that. Okay.
You're gonna dump her.
Now,
Mother, tell us when you were born.
I was born March the 14th, 1918.
Okay.
At least she didn't say
And
till
you're-
March
what-
15th.
and what
That's what
time?
she's been
About
saying.
10:45 at night.
And what was your name when you were born?
It's Dealie Speer.
No,
I mean, Dealie Tinsley.
Tinsley.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, she
It
said
was
Mackenzie.
Delia.
Dealie Tinsley.
Delia.
Delia. It wasn't Dealie. Delia.
and your parents' names?
Lily Mae McCurran and Jesse Erman Tinsley.
Do you remember their birth dates and the years they were born?
Yes. I don't know the year they was born, but the birthday, Daddy's was February the 9th and Mama's was January the 31st.
Okay, do you remember your grandparents' names?
Yes.
What were their names?
Lily was Delia McCurran and John McCurran and Tom Tinsley and she can't think of Grandma Tinsley's name.
She was just grandma, huh?
Yes, Grandma Tinsley.
Just grandma Tinsley. Okay, now how did your people end up in North Louisiana?
Gosh, I don't know.
Where did they come from, Mama? What part of the country? Were they always there, or?
Well, Grandpa McCurran came from Missouri. His daddy was killed in the Civil War. And Granny had the one child, John McCurran. And then she married Heflin.
But she traveled. Where did she travel
She
from?
traveled, came back to Louisiana after her husband got killed in the war.
Okay. Did you ever have an opportunity that you could have left North Louisiana to go somewhere else, to have worked or to design or anything like that?
Yes.
When was
I've
that?
taken during World War II. I'd taken a designer's course, and they wanted me to come to New York to work. And Mama wouldn't keep my two kids for me to come, Clarice and Glenda, for me to go.
How old were you?
I don't know.
20-something.
So
How
I went to work at the shell plant.
How old were you when you met Justin? When?
I guess I was 15.
And when did you marry?
Oh, I was 14. I married when I was 15.
Oh,
Had
Lord.
London when I was 16.
Were you married when you had him?
Huh?
She was married when she gave birth to him. He left before, but
Yeah, he sure did. He left
when
me.
she was still pregnant because he didn't like the way she looked pregnant. Wasn't
that true?
that the
Yeah,
background?
yeah.
That's true.
I didn't know that.
So where could you have gone when you had the opportunity to leave? You were going to go work for a designer in New York, right?
I could have gone to New York. But
Design
Mama wouldn't
clothes.
keep my kids for me to go.
We would have been wearing Dealie Mae clothes.
So,
Where did you meet your second husband?
I don't remember.
How did Albert come into your life?
Clarice. Well, Tommy Jones, Mama's uncle, his daughter was going with a friend, and Tommy Jones introduced me to him. So
And that's how you met him.
that's how I met
How long did you court him?
him. Oh, about a year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, and then after, was there anything unusual about Mama when were you pregnant with her or anything like that, or were there any unusual complications with Uncle Glenn or,
Oh, he was mean to Glenn.
Albert was?
He'd pinch his ears.
That wasn't good, was it?
No, he was mean to him.
So you had to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were working at the Shell plant when you met Granddaddy? Where did you meet Granddaddy?
At the shell plant.
That's what I thought, you met him at the Shell plant.
What was
And-
his name?
Todd Melton. The reason why I met him, it was one of just few of us on the bus, and it was cold that morning. And I said, "This is good hog killing weather." And he said, "Hog killing? I got hams in the smokehouse. It's never been cut, cured ham." I said, "Well, me and another lady, it was only us two on that. We're going home with you in the morning and eat breakfast. But what would your wife say?" He said, "I don't have a wife."
So you went home with him the next morning,
No,
right?
no, I did not. The shell plant had closed, and we was going unemployed. And we went over to get a cup of coffee, all of us, before the woman got there to sign us up. And he kind of walked up side of me. He said, "I'll see you Saturday night." And he just walked on off and left me.
Did he show up
He
Saturday
sure
night?
did.
At your house?
Yeah.
Were you
He
ready?
showed up at Granddaddy's house to
Yeah.
pick you up?
Were you ready?
And Clarice and London come to the door and tried to peep in the door and sniggered.
They
Thank
snickered?
you.
Yes, they
Okay,
sniggered.
they snickered.
And where did he take you?
We just went right.
Were you all dressed up pretty and ready for your date?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, what did Granny and Granddaddy think about him showing up to take you? Did they were willing to keep the
Well,
kids?
I always take my kids to the show on Saturday night, but I carried them that time on Saturday afternoon. So I had the living room cleaned up when he got there.
And where'd your kids stay?
Where my kids, they stayed with Mom and Dad.
So how long did you date Granddaddy before you decided to? Did he ask you to marry him, or did you ask him to marry you?
No, he asked me.
He asked you. Did he ask Granddaddy and Granny first?
No, he did not.
He asked you first.
No, I had 2 kids. I was wanting them all.
Not exactly, my mom. Were you when you had your tubes tied?
I don't know how old I was.
Well, how long were you married to Granddaddy? Did you have it done before you married
Oh, yes.
Granddaddy, or after
I
you married
had
Granddaddy?
to have surgery and all when the kids were small before I married Clyde.
So they were tied before you married Granddaddy?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then I felt went to feed me was raising chickens in a chicken coop fryer. And it was icy. And I fell out the back door and untied my tubes. And I had that thing over there on the bed.
Brenda? So just 9 months later, after you fell out the chicken coop, there came Brenda.
Yes, I had to have a tuber off of my hip, and I had a miscarriage while I was in the bed, and they said it didn't, that it was from my hip, and I said my hip didn't turn loose.
Well, did you think it was did Brenda have a twin, you think?
Yeah, she did.
And so that's what you miscarried, was the
After
twin.
she was born, it was 2%, and she'd have had twins if I hadn't lost one.
Tell us, start over. Tell us
Hey, wait.
now, from the
About
placentas.
Huffy.
Well, when Brenda was born, when she got big enough, just a little thing, when I'd give her a cookie, and she was old enough to say, Huffy had to have one. And Huffy would sit down in the chair, and Brenda would sit down in one. And if she had Huffy for, till she was a great big girl. For time that she got one, Huffy had to have one.
Okay, Mamaw, did you ever like to go out and dance or
Oh,
anything
yes.
like that?
Oh yes, I loved the square dance.
Did you like square dance?
Yeah.
What was your favorite step or the favorite call?
Lord, I don't remember. Uncle Clyde Tinsley, he played the fiddle. And they had a big house, an open hall, and Aunt Ethel and them would give dances. And we'd have the square dance. And we'd have 2 or 3 square dances going on at the time.
So y'all all like to dance.
We all liked the square dance.
Well,
And I tell you, when Jason was baby, and was staying up there, and we put a bed in Joyce's playhouse, so that I could go out there and sleep and take Clarice out there, and then they'd wake me up to give Christelle a shot.
And Brenda.
Uh-huh.
You said you took okay, go ahead.
And so Clarice was at home with Clyde and Glenda.
Brenda was
No.
at home, got married.
And
no, not yet.
Okay, we went back
So-
then.
anyway, I was staying up there, and a woman come in, and she said, "Congratulations, you've got a son-in-law." I said, "What?" She says, "Right here in the paper, Magnolia paper, where your daughter got married." I like to die. I got in that car, I don't know how fast I drove. I went home. I grabbed her by the shoulder. I shook her out of her. And Clyde said, "What is it?" I said, "She's married." I said, "You go and call him right now and tell him you're not going to have none of this secret marriage." I said, "You come call him and tell him to come right on here. I want to talk to him." And boy, I let Charles have it. For stealing her. I could have had it annulled. I should have. Though she was underage.
You probably should have. Well, I want to hear about what was Granny's sister's name that was
Aunt
Treevy? Yeah.
Aunt Treaty.
Did you like Aunt Treevy?
Yes, I liked her.
Now, was Aunt Treevy older than Granny or younger
No,
than
she
Granny?
was young.
Younger than Granny. Now, she's the one that went out to California and
No. Nell, her daughter,
Nell did.
and got killed out in California. That's where I got that picture. I went when the kids was little. They lived in Houston. And London and Brenda, Clarice, was small. And we went out to Houston and carried Mom and Dad. And I drove. And just before we got into Houston, I stopped at a filling station. And I asked this boy, I said, "Do you know where the Perkinses live?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "I date the Valerie." I said, well, I want to hire somebody to drive me through Houston. He said, I know exactly, and I'll drive you. Said, I've dated Valerie. So he drove me over to Aunt Treva's house.
And you had Granny and Granddaddy and Uncle Glenn and Mama, everyone in the car with you.
Yeah. So when we started, it's come up a hurricane. It was hitting out there. Boy, we left to come home. And London started aggravating. I don't know who started, but I reached back and I got Clarice by the hair of the head. Told him to stop that fighting. She said, I wasn't doing it. Bubby was the one that was doing it.
Oh, it probably was her.
And I shook
Something about coming in
her
from
by the hair of the
Houston.
head.
Huh? When y'all were coming back from Houston, when y'all went out to Aunt Trevy's,
Sister, a daughter, or something.
Valerie.
Valerie's.
I was too young to even remember any of this.
She grabbed you by the hair.
The hurricane came up.
We
Y'all
left
had to get
that
out of town. And she had Granny and Granddaddy and
boy to drive us that you developed.
They stopped at the gas station and he said,
She
sure, I'll
paid him.
drive you.
he said he dated her.
And wasn't there a prostitute somewhere?
Well, that's just for the rumor.
That's all right. This is just going to us.
Well, we
What?
wouldn't call them prostitutes. They were very, very
She had
high
pictures
quality.
made. Yeah.
So they were
She
escort
was well kept.
call girls.
Escorts, yes.
For
Valerie.
who? Who was
They
this
would
for?
go
Valerie.
She got killed by
with
one of them?
men on cruises.
Trips to Mexico.
Yeah, they had furs. Christine said she went to pick the Valerie up one time at the airport and she got off holding 3 fur coats. Christine said I was so embarrassed I didn't know.
As long as you wasn't nude under them.
3 fur coats.
Back when 3 fur coats were something.
Well, that's back in the days when they paid a lot for it.
And more.
And more.
Educational background. Did you ever have any formal education? Did you go to first grade?
8th grade.
All the way, you did go all the way through 8th grade? Okay. Where did you attend school?
At Rupert till the schoolhouse burned. And we taken our test out under shade trees. It burned right before school was out. And then we went to Evergreen. Daddy said we couldn't go to a town school, so we moved to Evergreen. We went to Evergreen school. Then we moved back and I went to Hankville, and that's when I got married at 15.
Well, were you a pretty good student?
Well, I guess it was. I don't know.
Did you make good grades?
I don't remember.
She started to travel. Did you like traveling?
Oh, God, yeah.
So what y'all travel in? Did you buy a camper
We
or
bought a little camper.
a little camper? Where all did you go?
We went to Colorado, and
Bahamas.
before he died, we went to Montana to see Chuck, and was on the way back from Montana. And Chuck told us to go the scenic route. He told us what route to take. They had just opened that road up the day before, and the snow was higher than our camper,
Oh my word.
and just one way half the time. You get over on this side and it'd be thousands of feet down there. You'd have to get way over here because the rocks had slid down here. Wasn't no way to turn around and go back. I had to drive that way till we got to the Grand Canyon, not the Grand Canyon, but to Niagara Falls. Not Chute.
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone Park.
Yellowstone National Park. When I got there, I was so nervous. And the guard was at the gate, and I stopped. And I said, pulled over. I said, I am so nervous. He said, they just opened that road up yesterday. I said, well, the grandson said that was a scenic drive. He said it would have been in June or July.
Well, so you couldn't even see anything because the snow was so
It
deep
was so deep. It was above the
above the camper.
Only whenever then after we got where when the snow, it would be where cliffs had slushed off and on. I said, I've got to have a cup of coffee to calm my nerve. He said, lady, I could drink a cup too. So I made coffee in the garden, drank a cup of coffee with us.
Came in the camper and drank it with you. Well, where else did you travel? Did you travel out to California with the camper? With that
No,
city?
we went with Durell.
But you went up to Virginia. Didn't you go up to Virginia in the camper to see Donna?
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
went
thought
to
you did.
Virginia to see Donna,
Mm-hmm.
and then we went on to Washington
Mm-hmm.
and went through, saw that Kennedy's burning the
Eternal flame.
Yeah.
at Kennedy's grave, and we went through several of the buildings there, and all Donna carried us through, and we went to Williamsburg, Virginia,
That's right.
and we come back by, and I was going to see where the Pilgrims landed, and I thought and the Mayflower, they come over with it. Well, all they had was something happened here, a little writing, something happened here, something happened there. I didn't see nothing on just a little writing. I thought I was going to see
She
something,
thought she was gonna see a pilgrim.
and we had
A
to pay.
pilgrim, yeah.
We had to pay to go through that.
Thought you were gonna see a pilgrim.
Hospital to work.
Oh gosh.
I don't remember.
Before I was born.
I sewed for people while we was living in the country. And then
In Antioch.
at Antioch. Then they give a nurse's aid course at the hospital. And me and Mom went and taken it. And so, okay, she can get it back. I nursed several people. And one day I was working, I'd go to work at 7 and get off at 7. So that the nigger woman would come over and get Brenda off to school, because Clyde had to go to work.
What was her name?
Lord, I can't think. It
Okay.
would come and stay with her and get her up to school. And I'd come home and go to bed. So I was at home in bed, and the telephone rang. And it was an administrator want me to come back up there, wanting to talk to me. Well, I was scared half to death. I thought I'd done something wrong, because I was nursing a patient, I got up there, he said, I want you to take over the kitchen. I said, you think I can do it? He said, yes. He said, the woman that's doing this fixing to get married. And said, I want you to work 2 weeks with her to learn how she's going to get married in 2 weeks. I said, well, let's have it this way. If I can't do it, I can go back nursing and be no hard feelings. He said, and if you see I can't do it, you tell me. He said, okay, that's it. So I went to work at the hospital, worked 18 years. I'd take Brenda in to the hospital, and Shorty and Jackie's had their daughter, Rosalind, and Ed down there. And one of us would take them to school. And if it was pretty, they'd walk back to the hospital until Brenda was I believe she was in the 6th grade when we bought the house and moved to town. And that's when she started going with Jimmy. He'd ride over there on a bicycle. And one day I come in and Jimmy and Charlie was there, and she was there by herself. I said, I told you no boys was allowed here when I wasn't here. She said, well, we was just out in the yard, Mama. So I worked there 18 years, and I was working there when Clyde died. And I had been to the house that morning. It snowed, and we made Brenda come home. She was in nursing school, and we made her come home that night. And
Why'd you
Clyde,
make her come home?
because he said she didn't know how to drive over the roads over there
In the
in
snow?
Shreveport, and it's ice and snow. He went out, got her suitcase, brought her things in that night. The next morning, Glendon carried me to work in the truck 'cause it snowed. About 10 o'clock, 11, Melton and Alexander brought me back to the house to get my car. Clyde was standing up frying hot water cornbread, and had cooked turnip collard greens. And so I went on back, got my car and went on back to the hospital. I was at the beauty shop, and Glendon come after me. But Jimmy and Charlie had come by on the way fishing and to see Brenda, and they had just left. Clyde went in there and talked to them, and they had just left, and Clyde had washed clothes and laid them, carried Brenda's clothes in there on the bed, and he said, "Daddy, these are Mama's." He said, laughed at her and said, "You can't tell yours from your mama's." Just laughed at her, you know. And
About her underwear.
yeah, underwear. And she heard him groan, and she run to in there where he was, and he was sitting in the chair, and the cigarette had fell on the floor. And she called Joyce, and Joyce come running down there, and they called the doctor, and the doctors was having a meeting at the hospital, and Dr. Haynes went to Daddy's house. They said Daddy has had a stroke, and he thought that it was my daddy. So he went over there, and Dad said,
Granddaddy Tinsley's.
yeah, Dad said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, they just called me, and I thought it was you." Said, "It must be Miss Melton." So when he got over there, of course, and Glendon come to the house, to the beauty shop, and they just combed my hair on one side. And he said, "Come on and go now." And he started towards your house, and I said, "What are you going to the house for?" I said, "If Clyde's sick, he should be in the hospital." He said, "Dr. Haynes is with him." I said, "He's dead, isn't he?" I just knew he was. He said, "Yes." So,
So Uncle Glenn's always been a pillar of strength to you, hadn't he? He's
Yeah.
always been there. Every time you had something happen in your life, Uncle Glenn was the one that was always there, that
yeah.
was strong for you.
And Cindy, when I was sick,
Mm-hmm.
she was carrying me to the hospital lots of times.
Yeah. Well, not to change the note, but I want to hear about the background about Granddaddy and how Granddaddy and Granny got together. I know you've told me the story about how
Well,
they got
I
married.
don't know. Grandpa McCurran didn't like Daddy and forbidden Mama from going with him. And so anyway, it was during the summer, August the 24th, when they got married. Mama put on 2 dresses, 2 or 3 petticoats, and bloomers, and started to the revival. And Daddy met her in the buggy, and they'd made arrangement for the Justice of Peace to come from Homer and meet them. And he met them in the road at Blackburn.
Well, how old was Granny and Granddaddy?
I just don't know. I got the marriage license, but I don't know. Remember. And they got married sitting in the buggy in the middle of the road. They had some witnesses with them that went with them. The 24th day of August.
What did her parents say when they got married,
Oh.
got the news?
Grandpa McCurran, see, her mother died when she was 6 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and Uncle Brooke was 4, and Aunt Trivia was 2, just a baby.
When
Then
she
Mama
passed away.
died.
Mm-hmm. What did she die of?
TB,
TB.
yeah,
So he got remarried.
yeah, but they never did have any children.
Mm-hmm. Now, is she the one that got killed in the tornado
Yeah,
in the house? That's
Yeah.
right. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Who?
Emma McCurran.
And that's your daddy's second wife?
It's Granny's stepmother.
Oh, your great stepmother.
Yeah, Grandpa McCurran's wife,
Okay.
his second wife.
They killed in a tornado. I didn't know that either.
What?
You didn't know that?
You ready to go to bed?
Yeah. Y'all gonna get out of here.
Just sit in your bed.
Taught me how to drive.
Yeah.
Albert.
So he taught you how?
He,
You were married before you learned how to drive.
yeah, yeah. And we got out on the oil field road way out there.
Well, he
And
worked on the
couldn't-
oil fields,
He couldn't
didn't he, or gas
drive
lines?
much himself, but anyway, taught me how to drive. And he went off up to Arkansas to work a week. And I put London in the car. And me and him headed for Diceville in that car. And I hadn't been driving long. And we had to cross a bridge to get up to the house. And I stopped before I got to the bridge and got Daddy to come and drive the car up to the house. But then I drove it back to town. And then I started driving from then on.
That's good.
And I've driven a million miles.
Now, was that before you had to have a driver's license?
Yeah,
Back then, you didn't have to have a
I
driver's
don't know
license.
when we had to have driver's license. I don't remember.
But it wasn't back then.
No,
You didn't have to have a driver's
didn't have to
license.
have. I don't remember when we started with driver's license.
Your grandchildren.
Clarice had Chuck. I kept Donna while she had Chuck. Then when she had Kathy, I guess I kept Chuck and Donna. Then she had Greg. Donna had the shingles,
She had to leave.
and she couldn't walk. Clarice had her pubes tied, and she had to go to Mendon and take care of Greg, because I couldn't take care of her because Donna was sick, had a knot in her side, couldn't walk. I had to tote her every day to the doctor to get a shot. So I had her while Clarice was down there with 3 little ones. And I had Donna.
Just down the street from y'all once you moved into town.
Yeah. But I kept sending Gary. London was on the far part. And we got bunk beds and put them in the bedroom. And London would bathe them and bring them down there and put them in bed in the bunk bed, because he was on call at Ludlow's and on the Carter part. He'd come and get them, take them back in the morning, dress them, bring them back down there, go to school. Well, he'd taken Gary to Mama's and them till I got off, and then I'd go and get Gary and keep him till school was out. So, anyway, he lived up the street from us.
Cause y'all moved, you moved that house. Did y'all move before, Maud and them moved, or did you move after Maud?
We moved before Maud and them.
And then Maud and
We
Ed
got that
moved
house
over.
for Maud and Ed, yeah,
They followed y'all.
yeah. And Cindy, I was working at the cafeteria, and I was in that cash register. And Maud come to the cash register, she said, you better go to the emergency room. Said, I seen Cindy coming in with Gary. Said, something's happened. So I went around to the emergency room, and Gary had fell off got his breeches on, fell off the barn, and fell and broke his arm. And Cindy brought him into the emergency room. Got him up there. We called London, and then he called Joyce, and they had to operate on Gary's arm. I guess they did a good job.
He seems to
But
be able
she-
to use it.
she
Thank
was-
God Cindy was there.
She's just, and it's another little boy with him. What's that?
Hello?
So what?
So they set Gary's arm.
Uh-huh.
Cindy was just a kid herself. I don't know how old she was. You was driving,
Just old enough to drive.
and she brought him into the hospital.
Jennifer and then Jason, because that's the next two, right?
Tell about Jennifer.
Jennifer,
Okay, next.
let's see.
1975, October 29th.
Yeah, well, me and SC
Brenda
was
was
married.
pregnant with Jennifer when I got married, when she was in my
Yeah.
wedding. She had just found out.
Okay.
And so I went over there. She called me and told me that she was going in, and she might have a section that morning. So I carried SC to his mama, his sisters, and I went to the hospital. And Jennifer was born. Margaret and James was there, and Jennifer was born. And so then I don't know where I went to stay with. No, they lived at little house. SC had a stroke, and I had put him to bed. So Darcy and James went and stayed with Brenda when Jennifer was baby. They went over there and stayed. And then they bought the house and moved to where you was born. So when you was born, she called me, said that she was gonna have to have a section. And I carried SC to Niners and
Mert.
Merch. And I went to the hospital, and Mark and James was there. Well, they come out and said it was a boy. Well, Margaret and James and Jimmy run to the room to use the phone. I stayed there and waited. I waited and I waited, and they didn't bring Clarice out. I mean Brenda out. And I went to the office and I said, why? Before they brought her out pretty quick. I said, why hadn't they brought her out? They said, well, they've had a little trouble. Said she had a thyroid tumor, and they've had to remove that tumor on top of the baby. So anyway, Jimmy and them finally come on back there. I said, Brenda had a tumor, and they're having to remove that tumor. I said, that's the reason why they hadn't brought her out. Well, they got a little excited then, you know. I wasn't leaving till I seen them bring her out. And then they brought her out, and they brought you out.
Okay.
So, anyway, we went to the house and stayed with you. And we'd go over there. You had colic. I'm gonna tell this. And you cried, and you cried. And we heard that old nigger woman told me if we would stick you up the fireplace where the soot was and shake you, it would cure the colic. Well, it didn't do it. They said put you on the dryer and let the dryer shake you, and it would cure the colic. Well, it didn't do it. But anyway, tell you the funny thing though, that goes back to that. When you had the chicken pox, you take an old black hen and boil them, and scald it, and take the feathers where you scald the old black hen and bathe in the water, and it cured the chicken pox.
Ugh, and you did that? You did that to me?
You didn't have chicken. Yeah, you had chicken pox.
Yeah, but not till like 3rd grade.
No, I didn't do that to you.
Oh, okay.
So that
I
that
did.
just made her think about it.
Uh,
To
Yes,
London
I
and
remember.
Clarice.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Did they have them?
yeah, they
And
had
they
chicken pox.
cured them?
I don't know where it cured them.
But you eventually got over it anyway.
That's
huh?
what the niggas told me to do.
Or putting them chicken broth on open sores? I don't know. All right. How old were you?
Oh, it was when we was living where we's at now.
So mom was
It was before she married.
okay. She was in probably high school or
Yeah, in
maybe
high
nursing
school.
school.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened?
I fell out the doorsteps in the dog pen. We had a dog pen. And I fell in the dog pen. And she laid so all over herself. She'll
Okay.
still laugh about it. And she had. Oh, tonsils out. And she was in, I guess, she was in high school.
Brenda.
Brenda had her tonsils out. I guess she was in the 10th, 11th grade. And her and Jimmy had bursted up. But he sent her a little bottle of perfume. And while she was in the hospital.
Mhm.
And so we carried her home. Well, Ed Foster came over there. He won't admit this. Well, he drove by and saw Ed's car there and he wouldn't stop. But anyway, they got back together.
I knew about that.
You did.
Mhm.
She told you.
Yep.
That we laughed about so much at going up through the family history
The
thing or
Tinsley.
something. Yeah, whatever.
Somebody that died of diarrhea. I know that was in there during the Civil War.
You're in the Civil War.
It's probably dysentery. But you wrote diarrhea in the book. So tell us about that. Not about that. About what Cindy was just talking about.
I don't remember all that.
About the names being changed, the spelling, and
Oh,
And
Glenda,
about-
you tell them about that.
No, you tell
I
me.
didn't do it.
Night night.
Nighty night. Nighty night. Nighty night. Nighty night.
Cindy night.
Nighty night. Well, Justin left me before Glenda was born. And when he was born, they spelt their names either
W-I.
W-I-N-N. And I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to change W-Y-N-N.
So you just changed it on his birth certificate, right?
Yes, I put it W-Y-N-N. Well, he went by that all during high school and everything. He got ready to go on a cruise.
About 10 years ago.
It hadn't been 10 years ago, about 5.
5 years ago.
He had a heck of a time getting it changed. He had to go to Magnolia and everything.
I'm not sure.
Because he had to put his father and mother's names on there. Is that why?
Yeah, had to get it changed to W-I-N-N. I did.
So is it legally W-I-N-N now?
It's W-Y-N now, but he got it.
Gotcha.
And he did not see,
I mean, that's what it's always
he
been.
did not see Glenda until during the war. Glenda was a pretty good sized little boy. And he come to Lawrence, I was up at Lawrence's, Christelle Lawrence. And he come to the car and wanted to know if he could see him, asked Lawrence if I'd let him see him. He was fixing to go to war. And he told Glenda, he said, "You've got a sweet mama. wasn't your mama's fault. But he got discharged for something, I don't know. He didn't stay in there long.
Hmm.
And I remember you telling me about how I thought she was up in North Georgia or something, and she came back on a wagon.
Well, it's
With
all
him.
in there. I've got a bunch of that woman sent me.
What woman?
Some woman that Clint McCurran knew, and she lives in Oklahoma. She may be dead now, but we corresponded, and she sent me lots of literature on Grandpa McCurran, and I've got it there. And I will get it up and mail it to y'all.
Yeah, 'cause Evan wants to start that reenactment stuff, and we had a meeting, I guess it was last month, maybe in January. The guy told us he had to have the documentation of the names so they could go back and find it all. So,
Well, I'll get it up and send it to y'all.
okay. Now, are there any, where did everyone come from? Did they come from Ireland, or where, I know they were sharecroppers. Isn't that what Granddaddy Tinsley did? He was a sharecropper.
Yeah.
And then his people were sharecroppers, weren't they?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. What did they grow? Did you?
Grandma McCurran was, Grandma Tinsley was part Indian.
Now, do you know what nation she was from? Like, was she Cherokee or Navajo, or do y'all know any of that? She was Cherokee? Okay.
You can look at her and tell. Y'all got
on the pictures, yeah.
Yeah. She was Indian.
And she married,
And Grandpa McCurran was an Irishman.
that's what I thought. Was Irish. But you don't know what part of Ireland or anything like that where
No.
they came from.
I've got books where that woman sent me all that literature.
Tell me about your brothers and sisters. You had
I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Names?
The oldest sister was Christelle. And she died, she had 1 daughter, and she died with cancer. And Clarice can tell me when she died, because that's the year she got married. And so, anyway, then Allen was my brother. He was next to Christelle, and he died this last year. And then it was me. And then it was Durrell. And then Dolores. And Durrell and I are the only one living.
Mm-hmm.
And Allen had 1 son, Johnny. Dolores had 1 daughter, Lillian. Talked to Lillian the other day.
How's she doing?
Brenda said the other day she didn't know what she'd have done hadn't been for
So
Dolores.
there you go. I know. Oh, I remember even.
Yeah, she was good to y'all, and she had great.
We loved her to death.
Yeah, but Lily Ann is doing great.
Mm.
She's working, but me, I worked till I was 80.
You won an award even, didn't you?
Got the award for the oldest worker in Cleveland Parish at 80 years old.
I remember. I was there. I was in college.
I got the award and went straight to the hospital with the bleeding ulcer. I wasn't able to go. And Sue said, "You've got to come. You just got to." And I went up there. But I like to not make it.
Tell the camera Tell the camera about all your robotic parts.
My body part.
Your fake parts.
Fake part. I got artificial eyes. I got artificial knee. I got artificial upper plate. I've got artificial boob.
Because of cancer.
Yeah.
Because you survived breast cancer.
Yeah, had cancer.
How long ago was that?
Ooh, how long?
Water.
Well, thank you. I need it.
20 years?
It's been when Cecil died. It's been 20, not 23 years ago. At least 23 or 24.
It's longer than that.
Huh?
It's a lot longer than that.
It was after Clyde died. I mean, after SC died.
Right.
And you was 4
Little
months
bitty.
old when SC died.
Right.
And I think it was a year after he died that I had, at least I was 64 because I hadn't gone on Medicare. And I had,
That's 24 years ago.
must have been. It's been 24 years ago.
1982.
So you're a breast survivor,
Yes,
24 years.
cancer survivor.
Snake story.
Or that's what I was gonna say, but when you didn't get down to Uncle Durrell, because I was gonna tell about
The snake story
Your,
when you were working
Oh, Lord.
out in the
say
Field.
you had your brother.
Yeah, me and Durrell was thinning corn. And Daddy had killed a big old black corkscrew snake out at the end of the road. And Durrell picked up that snake. And of course, I'm afraid of him. I can't even see him on TV. Daddy said, you better not put that on her. Or Durrell caught it by the tail, started throwing it around, and the skin slipped off the tail and it wrapped around me. And I fainted. Absolute faint. Dad had to pick me up, take me to the house. And I stayed at the house the rest of the evening. Durrell had thin corn by himself. But he got a whipping. Daddy whipped him. But I tell you, that thing wrapped around me.
Your neck or what?
It wrapped around my body.
the skin of it.
What?
No.
Snake.
Snake.
Skin.
Durrell.
He had that, the real snake actually.
Yeah.
And he was standing around like that, and skin slipped off the tail, and it wrapped around me.
She fainted.
I fainted.
And Granddad gave Durrell a whooping.
And I went to the house and got to stay at the house the rest of the evening. He had thin corn the rest of the day.
Did you ever have to work in the field?
Chop
She's
cotton
doing
many
that,
times.
wasn't she?
Sorry
Tried
about
to pick
So
cotton.
we went out
Tried to
peanut
pick
fields
cotton.
and work.
And I'd pick enough to get enough to sit down on.
We're younger.
And I'd sit down on it. And I couldn't pick much more. I never could pick cotton.
Did you get paid?
My fingers just wouldn't pick cotton.
It went toward the family. They were sharecroppers. They didn't own their own land.
We had to pick cotton. Chop cotton, work in the field.
Mama and Uncle Glenn grew up picking cotton. And then when Granddaddy, when you were married Granddaddy, I remember going out and us doing peanuts.
In the peanut.
When I was little.
Up in the barn. Pick off peanuts.
Picking off peanuts.
Out there on the farm.
So what was that like with Chuck and Donna and Cindy and Kathy and Greg and Gary?
At Christmas times, Clarice would come home. We'd put 5 little shoe boxes. Cindy and them had their Christmas at home when they was little. But we'd put shoe boxes down, and Santa Claus would come,
Into the shoe boxes.
Where'd the
put something in those shoe boxes.
figured it out.
We'd get candy cane and
An orange.
A few nuts
oranges
and
and
maybe a
nuts.
doll.
so we got
And I
Christmas.
remember Durrell. I got a doll, and of course they slept in the room where it's a fireplace. And it was, we'd get up, Durrell, and Dolores, and me. I don't know where Christelle, she was on, I don't imagine she did. And Olive. And they'd have an air rifle. and we'd get up and we'd get slip in that, and we'd try to stay quiet, and we was getting cracking. We had a few nuts and a few apple and an orange, you know, and just thrilled to death over it. And we'd get started snickering. And Mom and Daddy'd make us go back to bed, you know. They'd take their air rifles back to bed, and I'd take my doll back to bed. It was lots of fun.
And that was in Haynesville?
We'd get a few firecrackers. But I never would fool with firecrackers.
Everybody big back then, I remember.
I'm scared.
Even when we were little, everybody get a little bit of firecrackers
Yeah.
at Christmas cooking and everybody stuff.
What about Jennifer? Well, we had already talked about her, didn't we?
When she was born, sure.
We talked about her.
Darcy and James stayed with Brenda.
What about?
We stayed, we would go to Clary's, to Brenda's every week and spend the night and take care of you and let her have 2 days to do things with her and Jennifer, and we'd take care of you. And if you cried at night, we'd take care of you and give her some rest. He cried till he was 4 months old.
Tell me about when you thought I was too old to have a pacifier. What did you do?
So that, pacifier?
Or a bottle, whatever it was.
Oh.
My pacifier
I guess we threw it out the window, didn't
in the car.
we? We made you a sugar tit, and I'm that.
A sugar tit?
Yeah, we'd give you a sugar tit.
What's that?
What's a sugar tit?
I'd give all the kids a sugar tit. Take a little piece of cloth and put a little butter and a little sugar in it. Y'all suck on it. It was good.
I don't remember that.
That's gross. That sounds so gross.
Huh?
That sounds gross.
You probably didn't give it to them, probably put a pacifier, it was just us. But they didn't have pacifiers
Glenda.
back then.
I mean, I don't
nursed
remember it either, but
till he was old enough to say Mom was eating bitter weeds.
Glenda? Girl Glendon?
Glendon
Yeah,
did.
'cause he
Uncle
would
Glenn.
unbutton her shirt.
Well, he was only about 3, but that was not
She said
unusual
he
back
was
then.
5.
back then
He
it
was
She
was.
says,
Yeah, but it was during the
We didn't have
Depression, that's
milk.
why you didn't have milk.
We didn't have milk, and
Had to.
I nursed him,
imagine.
and
Easy.
and the cows eat bitter weeds. And when I got ready to wean him, I put quinine on my breast, and he said, "Mama's been eating bitter weeds."
So he never
She
did it
just
again?
smoked that big weed.
Yeah, tell us about you smoke. You used to smoke when you were in grade school?
Oh no, when we was just girls riding horses, me and Doris and Mabel Faye Elmore, and Mabel Faye had an old mule, and I had a big old white horse, was Daddy's old Frank, and Doris had a horse, and we would ride horses, and we'd stop and get us a grapevine, and we'd smoke that grapevine. And a bunch of us young folks, when we was young, would go to cane patches and chew sugar cane. Boys would run in the cane patch to steal some cane. And we would eat cane, sit outside.
Eat?
Cane, when we was about 13, 14 years old, we'd eat cane, chew cane, ribbon cane. And we went to dances.
Where'd you go to dances? In barns or something? Or?
No. Probably somebody's house. Would have dances here.
What kind of music did they play? Was it like an old record player?
Fiddle,
A real live record player?
a fiddle.
They had turning Victrolas?
They weren't called record players.
Victrola?
No,
You had a live fiddle player.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
fiddle
played live
player.
music.
Well, I'm
Clyde
sorry,
was-
Smarty.
I just can't believe how young you
See,
are.
Clyde Tinsley. He married Ethel Tinsley. They married cousins. They had common.
Lord, now I understand it.
Now we're getting there.
So your now this was your Tinsley. This was your uncle,
It was Daddy's sister
your daddy's sister and
My
brother
dad.
married each other.
married a cousin,
Okay,
not a third cousin.
Sister and cousin.
third cousin.
Probably like first cousin, huh?
Mm-mm.
Wasn't?
Well, there's slim pickings, you know, in the country.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just ask Fowler. His family.
Yeah, they're all. Then
My 88th birthday, and I had a big birthday party, and I love all of you, and thanks for everything.
To be continued.
Love,
Love,
Mamaw.
Mama.
To be continued. I like
Say
that.
Be
two
continued.
with my
Birthday
with
And I
your,
won't.
with your taco salad.
with my taco salad.
Okay. Them beans.
And she
hurts
never
me.
did say Hawaii.
Now hang on. Them beans hurts me.
Them beans hurts me. Give me. Yes.
His Jennifer gas too.
She
That's
she
what
tells
Mackie
everybody
told
at the
us.
restaurant when you go to the Mexican restaurant, them beans hurts me.
did you?
Yes.
What about where's that? The islands over there, the 50th state in America,
How are you?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And what's that book you used to read to me and Jennifer when we were little?
That
About
little-
that
Like
little-
Sambo?
Yeah,
And
that.
that
But that
little
little bear.
Timothy.
Timothy. Yeah.
That was our favorite book from them to read.
And she wants some ice cream.
What you want? Frozen milk? What's it called?
Huh?
Frozen cream? What's it called?
Ice cream.
Yeah, that's right. What about like that storm that came to the Gulf Coast? What's it called?
Rita.
Katrina?
Camille,
Rita. Zena.
What was it?
It's a hurricane.
Hurricane?
Have you ever been to Pat O'Brien's?
Hmm?
Have you ever been to Pat O'Brien's?
In
She
Bourbon
don't even know what that
Street?
is.
Hurricane.
She's been to Bourbon Street.
Oh, she'd been Bourbon Street. I've got a
I've
picture
got
of her.
pictures too.
On Bourbon?
Of Brenda too on Bourbon
Yes.
Street.
Brenda swears she never went, but she went. She's lying.
I saw pictures.
Brenda's with me when.
On Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went.
Brenda
All right,
denied
Mamaw.
that ever happened.
He was 18, wasn't
Possibly.
he? Yeah, I think they said told that he was 18 to get in.
I don't know. if Jerry was there or not.
And the neighbors next door let us use their apartment.
But they didn't turn the heat on.
No, they y'all like froze death.
It was a nice couple too.
What?
Later,
Huh?
To be continued.
continued later
Say,
on my
Love you.
90th birthday.
say to be.
What?
To be.
To be
Continue.
continued.
I love you.
I love you. What else?
Everybody.
Get out of my face!